Hi, I'm Joanne and welcome back. Well, I was pretty excited about a couple of things over the weekend. First, the snow was almost gone from my backyard and I could really feel spring in the air. And second, I had just purchased these three beautiful fabrics so I could make another 3-yard quilt. But then this happened yesterday morning. So I'm just gonna daydream a little more about spring while I walk you through how to make this next quilt. If you'd like to sew along with me, and I'll bet you would, then I recommend you download this pattern called Corner Play from www.fabriccafe.com. Or even better, you may want to just order the whole book called Pretty Darn Quick 3-Yard Quilts, also from the Fabric Cafe, because there are actually 8 wonderful patterns in this book, and I would love to show you how to make some of them over the coming months. I've learned from watching a few videos from the Fabric Cafe that they recommend you have one feature fabric and then one lighter background fabric and then a darker fabric that ties together with all 3 of these. That's why I've chosen these 3 colors for my Corner Play quilt. I find that doing my own sketch of the quilt on graph paper helps orient me and helps me figure out how the blocks are going to go together in my quilt project. Now let's do some ironing and some cutting. You know, some people feel intimidated by the idea of quilting as they think you need a whole bunch of fancy gear. In reality, though, other than any type of sewing machine, no matter how simple, all you really need is a cutting mat, a cutting ruler, and a rotary cutter. That's easy to arrange. And you can practice some cutting with scrap fabrics to get the hang of it. After I've cut numerous strips of my 3 colors, I'm then going to sew together 2 long sections of dark blue and flowery feature fabric, and we'll cut those into 12 shorter pieces that I'll then sew together with navy blue strips to create 12 squares. A useful quilting trick is to sew similar blocks in a small assembly line without lifting your sewing foot, and then clipping them apart and pressing them. Next, I'll sew on a shorter background colored strip and then a longer strip of the same color to create this block. And then I'll do that 12 times. By the way, while I was sewing these, I thought of another insecurity that new quilters may have, that they don't have a special sewing room in their home. Well, I've made numerous quilts over the last 13 years, and all of them were completed right here at my dining room table. My next step was to cut some shorter pieces of dark blue and a feature fabric. With the remaining 12 two-colored sections I sewed earlier, I'm now going to sew on a feature fabric strip on top, a dark blue strip on the side, and finally a longer dark blue strip on top. Time for some more assembly line sewing, which makes things come together a lot faster. Here's one block finished, and now all 12 along with the previous 12 blocks. We've now completed the main 24 blocks and just need to take a moment to rearrange them in the right order. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? Now I'm going to sew together these strips like this. And then I will sew them like this. So we have all 24 blocks sewn together. Now that I've finished that step, I'm going to create a slender border around the quilt with my background fabric and a wider border around that with dark blue, starting with the long sides and then doing the shorter sides. While it's the main 24 blocks themselves that make up most of the quilt, it's easy to see that the borders really help draw out the design. Thanks so much for joining me to make this Corner Play quilt top. Before I let you go, I have a color challenge for you. The other day I bought this gorgeous fabric at the fabric store and I'm excited to make something with it. I'm just wondering, what 2 complementary colors would you suggest to make a quilt with this? Feel free to put your comments in the section below. If you'd like some instructions to finish off the quilt top we've just created, you can find them in my Finishing Off with a Snap video right here. And keep on crafting with confidence.